unreal, man. It's unreal, the cowardice. You guys couldn't have a real conversation with me.
Go ahead,
You couldn't go down that road. Okay, so mute Bent. Mute Bent. Why isn't Bent muted?
He's not talking about the topic. I'm not interrupting him.
What's wrong with? Let's just let him go, please.
Okay,
Can we just get through?
Yeah, get to the FIA debate, dork.
Yeah, what I'm saying
Tough
is
guy.
because of some improper. Just stop interrupting me. Jesus Christ, you guys can't control yourselves at all. It just shows how fucking dishonest.
Are you so insecure you can't handle a minor interruption for real?
Listen, you're the one who muted me for a minor interruption. So you should take
muted me while I was trying to make a point of moderation. I muted you because I was trying to make a point of moderation.
So again, it looks like Snoogs is sitting here telling lies. People are going to be muted when they interrupt me.
Well, we haven't.
Okay, let's just let
as far as I can tell, we haven't even started yet. So if we got
I did start. I said I'm going to start now. Look, Fia needs to be muted as well.
All right, from this point forward.
So here, from this, it doesn't need to be said. It's my turn to speak. From this point forward, no one speaks until I'm done. It doesn't need to be said. Okay? Now here's what's going on. I think it's funny that, and I'm going to have to repeat a few things here because you're continually fucking interrupting me. I think it's funny that Andricus, someone who's not even a participant in the conversation, again, another interruption, okay? I think it's silly that
this is.
You could just keep this going like
this is getting funny.
I'd like to see how long on the ADHD medication.
I'm so curious how Snoogs is sitting here telling lies like she's going to mute people. No one ever gets muted. But I somehow get muted. When I get muted, it happens for real. I do get muted, and it happens.
Get back on the topic of FIA.
That's what I'm waiting for. All this stuff is not applicable to the mute rule. So start talking about the FIA thing.
No. I'm gonna get this out. The thing is, Andricus interjected himself in a conversation that he's not a part of, and I was given the time to speak, and he muted me just to say, I want you to give respect to FIA. I'm not going to give respect to FIA. That's never going to happen. You muting me and interrupting when you're not even a participant in the conversation isn't going to ensure that's going to be the case. Did you really think you were going to mute me? And I was going to say, yes, Andricus, I'll definitely respect her. No, dumbass. You just wasted everybody's time. That's because you have oppositional defiance.
You're the one wasting people's time here.
So I'm still talking. She did drop out of school. She transferred over.
Everybody, he's on it now. Let's go.
No, I'm good, man. You have a nice day.
Yeah.
Okay, that was really funny.
That was
all I know is that you guys are dickheads. I was trying to be fair.
I actually shut the fuck up to hear him.
No, see, and you guys put me in a shitty position because I promised to mute, and then fucking you guys just couldn't shut the fuck up.
That's not your fault.
Part of the problem was this is
it wasn't about you,
likes to do is he likes to say,
it's not about me.
It's literally not about anybody.
He says it's okay. It's my turn to talk now. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to bring up a laundry list of all the grievances I have to go through for the conversation, and then if you're lucky, I'll go back into the topic I was talking about.
Exactly.
But first, Andricus is an asshole, and this one's an asshole, and that one's an asshole, and Gus kicked my dog, and you know what? Nobody in the conversation is obliged to listen to that. Nobody.
That's right, and that's why I wasn't instilling the mute everybody that interrupts rule at that point, because it wasn't about the conversation that we were supposed to be having.
And you did well in that regard.
I hate to break it to you, Snugs, that there is no way to mute to mod him that's going to leave you walking away with his appreciation.
Oh, I know.
You could give him a head while he was talking.
Oh, God.
And he would still think you were a shitty mod.
Yeah.
No, I know. But, I just tried, and I don't know. I just wish that
the fact that
we could have gotten through this. We literally could be done and over with this like fucking 20 minutes ago.
Never. We would never have been over with this. Because
Shamos.
The only reason Shamos left is because he's got something else to do. Yeah. He didn't really leave because he's angry. He stayed for longer being twice as angry.
Right.
Well, it's one of the benefits for having been around the guy for 5 years. I've seen him go radioactive and stay radioactive for fucking hours.
Oh, sure.
Believe me, he didn't leave because he was mad at anything we said here.
No. Because as soon as we got back to the phone, okay, I'm going to talk about FIA. Okay, bye.
I'm literally kind of angry. Like, I shut the fuck up for him. I muted myself. I was going to hear him out. I was going to let him bitch me out for something I didn't even do.
Right.
Yeah, you were fine, FIA.
Guys,
also, I'm really sorry for interrupting him so much. Today's just a bad day. This would never happen. normally.
Okay.
Actually,
It's okay.
Fia, in my opinion, Fia, you had every right as a debater even to interject
Thank you.
at the face value of those lies, right? Because, he said you dropped out. You didn't drop out. So obviously you're going to want to correct that little fact before he continues, because everything else
Even
is going
if
to
he-
hinge on that, right?
Oh, sure. And if you even wanted to get into the spirit of the debate, I mean, first of all, when you're going down a laundry list of somebody's quote unquote inferiorities and you're laying them out to somebody, and then when you're talking to them, your method of debating is like, so these are your medical inferiorities. You're inferior in the middle of the debate. I'm sorry. That is just not
debate.
honest debate. That is not. There's no integrity in that at all. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad interrupting his ass at all.
I could name ways my medical problems make me better in some ways and worse in others. I'm sure he has his things. Like he said, he's not flexible. I'm really flexible. That's just one of the perks. I guess I'm better than him.
There you go.
Because I'm flexible.
And this whole thing of like his whole weird point he was trying to make about you transferred to homeschool, so you dropped out of school. That he
also got the age wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
Well, he's
incredibly dishonest.
Incredibly dishonest because he's being vague. He's being vague on purpose because he's saying no, you dropped out of that school. So, but he wouldn't say it that way. He said you dropped out of school, period, which is patently false because you were homeschooled. That's not dropping out.
No. And he also got the age wrong because 16 isn't the age where I got homeschooled. It's the age where I graduated. So it's like even worse at that point.
Can I ask how all this started?
I was 14.
No.
I think.
How
I was like
thing with him coming after you, like he was coming after you.
It started like maybe like what, 10 minutes before you got here.
Okay.
And it was I don't think there was any real trigger. I think he
just focused
it was about
on
makeup.
her.
It was about makeup.
Yeah, he started shitting on me for my makeup.
What?
And then that
he said the
transferred
picture
into
with the blue makeup was too much and then I said I just liked it as a hobby and I used to do it for money and my acting and like I do it on the side with acting and stuff like that. It's just a nice skill to have on set.
Yeah.
And then he started shitting on that. And he started picking me apart as a person, as if I'm his mortal enemy.
He doesn't. This is all of this. I beg of you people to remember when he does this shit, he's just LARPing.
I beg of you people.
What's that? That's an acronym.
Real.
What does that acronym stand for? I forget.
Live action role play.
Live action role play.
He's assuming a role. You know
Well,
what?
who are you talking about?
If Shamos told me the sun was shining, I would stick my fucking head out the window first before I believed him.
Right.
Yeah, and that's why, the other part that kind of bothered me about the whole thing is that Fia got upset. And that's obviously what he wanted. And yeah, you can't help it sometimes, right? Because you really want to defend yourself.
I know. I normally would not get upset. It's just today is just like not the day for it. I told him it was the day for it. I should have known I shouldn't have engaged in it, but it's just like I already was emotionally unstable today since the morning. And
with Shamos, even if he's LARPing, okay, even if
he knew that, that's why he picked on me.
Yeah, even if it's LARPing with him, it's okay. If it's as Gus says, and he's playing a role, man, that discerning someone's emotional intent and the emotional energy they're throwing at you, even if they're LARPing, man. Sometimes when he's saying this stuff he was saying it's still you can't help but that hurt. That's just unavoidable.
He's gone off on me hard enough that I've left the server. Okay,
right.
So I totally understand what you're feeling right now.
I'm so sorry he's done that to you. I don't understand why he has this hatred for women. I know he does it half as a joke, but like there is some truth to his hatred for women. Like I know it's not all just trolling.
Yeah,
like
no
one can.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, continue.
I was just going to say, and we all know what the point was. Like I said, the point I pointed out before is you can discern the overall point by he's very easy to read in his pitch and his volume as it changes. You can tell when he actually gets out the specific point he's trying to get out when he hits that fever pitch, and he hit it when he called you the single word inferior. No medical attached to it, no school performance attached to it. He screamed the word inferior at you which was the emotional intent of what he was saying at you, and everybody could discern that. And that's the point when I started going, okay, this is no longer any kind of debate that needs to be respected. There's no rules that need to be adhered to. This has become an ad hom attack, and I don't think that's something that we necessarily promote on the even. I think the entertainment value has kind of has slipped away at that point.
Yeah, that wasn't even a debate.
Hey, Wolf. I heard you clear your throat.
Shamos had another pissing contest with a chick. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I should have known better, to be fair.
And he lost.
I feel like this is literally all my fault just because I let myself engage in that knowing Shamos.
No. He's a manipulative, snaky little...
But your fault because you exist, Fia.
If ever Shamos had a superpower, it was the ability to piss people off. Okay, and you are not. None of us are exempt from this effect.
Nope.
So just kind of forgive yourself for just being human.
Tom may be the only one that has the kryptonite. He may be the only one that has the ability to defeat. And this is not me kissing Tom's ass. I've just watched it happen over and over again. How he maintains himself in the midst of the Shamos spurg.
Well, he also has the ban button.
True. This is very true.
Like, power,
True.
It's the power of the ban button.
True. So Snoogs, I'm going to a tribute today. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to maybe move it off of to a different. I was going to tell. I'm going to a tribute for my friend today.
Nice.
A bunch of us are getting together and we got music for we're going to be playing all afternoon. So I'm going to be out of here probably around 2:30 or so. I might try to send some pictures out. It's going to be an amazing thing. There's going to be so many people there.
Yeah, if you can. But yeah, I hope it goes well. And
thank you. All right, go ahead, Wolf. Sorry. No. Okay. Hey, Gus, you still there?
Yeah.
So I'm curious because I've only known Shamos for so long. Have you seen any change at all in his tactics, his irritability, his ability to remain rational? Have you seen any change the entire time you've known him, or has it been pretty consistent?
It's gotten worse.
Oh, really?
He says he used to be really nice in the beginning, and that
when he first showed up, he was a bit more tentative. He was more aware of his newness to and this was back in G+. He was more aware of his newness to the milieu. He wasn't. I mean, he'd seen some people argue and stuff, and he was pretty confident that he was better at them than at debate. And but I mean, Nadia's hangouts and a lot of the hangouts that were attached to Nadia's hangouts and were kind of toxic, and that kind of, and he developed some pretty famous rivalries, many of whom aren't really around now, just because when G+ went down, they went with them. And then he got into Krillism, and Krillism was pretty toxic. And he went through the various iterations of basically from Krillism to here, and this place is pretty toxic. So, yeah, he just kind of got worse as time went on.
But Gus, other servers are much worse.
You think this server's really toxic? I don't.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you something. I go to politics, okay, and I'm usually chased out of politics, not because they all yell at me, because fuck, I had a family growing up. But I mean, just because there's no conversations for you to get invested in, because in politics, what you usually have is everybody trying to have a different conversation with each other at the same time they're trying to have the same conversation with each other, and then 4 or 5 idiots in the background going bleh, bleh, bleh.
It's the truth.
Right. So it's kind of like I can't sleep on the poison ground because I can't land there to begin with. right? We're up here, because there is a sort of an enforced calm in between storms, right? It's a different thing. People get much more invested in arguments here because the conversations are curated. And while the mods, depending on the mod you're talking to, can run the full gamut, generally speaking, the modding here is usually pretty even-handed. Sometimes it reminds me of high school, but it's usually pretty even-handed compared to politics, where I think the first thing they do is tie the mods up in a corner and put a ball gag in their mouth. Because I've never seen any modding in politics. I don't know. I'm sure it's there, but I've never seen it.
Right.
So it's a different. The fact that there are crazier places, or the fact that Sass's hangout for the longest time was a fucking insane place, but people eventually were driven out. Sass was the worst thing for his hangout. Tom doesn't go after people the way Sass does, and Sass, he'll get drunk or he'll get stoned one night, come in, pick an argument with a few people, and then ban them all. and then the next day he'll unban half of them.
Wow.
And then they'll come in, and then he'll ban them all again, plus another half.
Messy.
Right. So there's a very around here you can marinate in toxicity around here.
Yeah.
And that's what happens to just about everybody who's here long enough. Some people deal with it really, really well. They're not affected by it at all. Some of it deal with it really, really badly. But most people are just kind of in the middle.
Yeah. Well, that was the point of moderation I was trying to make when I muted him, when I was trying to get out that if it devolves into this personal attack, which it was with Fia. I mean, almost it was so
the whole thing was a
personal
personal attack. The whole
exactly. So the point of moderation I was trying to make to him is I'm not going to allow this standard debate type of thing to go on if you're just evolving into a personal attack. It's just ridiculous to assume that somebody would.
Yeah, you can't have both, really.
No,
because you can't expect the other person that's being attacked to remain calm and rational, right?
No,
there's too much emotion, and that emotion is because of the.
Had it been a moderated debate?
Well, it was at one point they actually had one set of he spoke and then she spoke. Then we had one really good section of that, and then we tried, and then his points weren't. He didn't feel like he had attacked her personally. Yeah, well, yeah, because
he started taking everything I said and lying.
Yes, because he felt he had not been. He knew that his case, whatever case he'd been trying to make, had been completely undone by you telling the truth of your.
You muted him. Because
I'm okay with telling the truth about my situation. I'm really open and honest about everything in my life. And he didn't expect it.
My question was, you muted him because he was no longer following like the lines of the debate that were previously agreed upon, or what?
No.
Muted him because he wouldn't let me get a point of moderation out. He wouldn't let. I was speaking to him about what I would allow and what I wouldn't allow, as far as him ripping into somebody and expecting to have charity, and he kept yelling over me while I was doing it. So I muted him so I could get the point out.
Right, and it was in the process of trying to establish a chunk of time for him to speak uninterrupted.
Exactly.
And he still wouldn't.
Yeah, no, it wasn't for muting him in the middle of while he was talking to Fia. No, it was during a point of moderation.
Once you explained that to him, or did he just leave when you muted him?
Pretty much.
Oh, he just left.
Yeah.
That's what he does. So. And then we tried to let him carry out his point, and then he was like, "No, I don't want to anymore." I left.
Yeah, because I wouldn't mute every single person that said something when he wasn't actually talking about the topic.
Right.
When I said that the first person that interrupts him when he does talk about the topic is going to get muted. So the fact that he was talking but not about the topic, and I didn't mute everybody.
When it was made clear that personal attacks and all this bullshit was just not going to be allowed to be treated as a normal. I think he said, "Okay."
I think I think that was, not that my opinion means shit, but like I think that was a good way to moderate. I think it should be remembered though that Shamos is just used to being attacked, right? Especially in this type of server amongst these types of people.
Sure.
So give him a little bit of charity for kind of freaking out.
Oh my balls!
Yeah, but see here, Thomas. In this situation, he was the one.
For 5 years. Let me explain to you why Shamos is attacked. Shamos walks into a room, starts shit with the most contentious fucking things possible, and he doesn't come and say, "I propose for discussion using Queensberry rules that we discuss thus and such." No, he comes in and says, "Brahma, You're dickless, and your mom's got no pussy, and I dare you to freaking.
Your mom's got no pussy. What the fuck? Another smooth down there.
I'm gonna use that next time.
Sure. He's very aggressive.
To be fair, like he literally saw that I was having a very, very bad day and took that and purposely tried to make it worse by giving me a very personal attack on something that he knew would bother me in the state I'm in.
Yeah,
and knowing that normally it wouldn't, but since I was having a bad day, it would. So.
Yeah, that's something I would do. Like, that's just marking like a target, right? A weak target.
You're smelling blood in the water.
Yeah, you just smell it and you go after. Like, I respect that. That's fine.
You respect that. That's fine.
Well, this is Thomas we talked about. He wants to murder hookers, so of course he respects.
Jesus.
That's just because they're not male. That's all.
Oh, you didn't hear about the one?
Oh, would he want to? He wouldn't want to murder a male hooker?
I don't think so. He'd probably fuck it.
Yeah, steer, make a wide berth around Thomas there for you, because.
Yeah, he doesn't want to kill. He doesn't want to kill female hookers. He just wants to shame them because he's.
Notice how he didn't harm you.
What? Wait, is the hookers thing over being like a Christian that's insane?
Yeah, he thinks that they're soiled and dirty, filthy women, and
he had a lapse of Christianity when he found a random hooker and like drove around with her in a car, saying weird shit to her on open voice.
Yeah.
He was very transparently on like the verge.
I was not on the verge.
Of course you weren't.
I don't think
Does that imply that you did it? Or that you weren't thinking about it?
I don't think it has anything to do with my religion. I think I figured that out last week, right? I don't think the whole sex
Well,
thing.
it took you up until last week.
women?
Took you up until last week to figure out that there's nothing in Christianity about killing hookers.
No, I think.
I finally figured it out, guys. Does nothing to do with Christianity.
My dislike for women or my extreme aversion to like sex is.
You don't have an aversion to sex.
Nothing to do with my religion, right? It's not me not having sex because I want to be religious. Really, I use that as a smoke. Yes, it's more I just other reasons I don't have sex.
Okay, Thomas.
Women hate prominent today in this server.
Thomas, in general chat, just real quick, what does this make you? How does this make you feel? Look in the picture in general chat. Go. How does that make you feel?
Are those boobs?
I don't know. How does it make you feel?
They make me feel like those are boobs.
That's it? No emotion? You have no other reaction than that?
It's Thomas. It's like it's showing him a picture of an elbow. You know, it's just not. Can't do anything.
Okay.
Yeah, they just look like. What I'm saying is it has nothing to do with my religion.
Maybe the fact that you don't want
women.
I don't think I hate women. I like women. Women are great.
So you don't like promiscuous women?
Yeah, particularly.
Why?
I mean, that's a long discussion, right?
Is it?
Sure.
It's because
why
promiscuous women exist, but he doesn't have sex, and that's very frustrating.
Well, sure, but I would like to hear an answer from him.
Oh, he's not good with that.
Yeah, I feel like I've answered this often in this server.
Okay, but I've never heard your answer for it.
I'll talk to you about it sometime.
Hey, Thomas,
why not now?
It'll be creepy.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Honestly, Tia, he's 20. He has no idea why women make him feel oogie. He won't know yet for another 10 years.
Oogie. We have cooties?
He doesn't understand. All he knows is they make him feel all squiggly tingly, and he does the little woogie dance, and he doesn't know why. He doesn't understand.
He thinks your vaginas are like sad old men.
I think the problem is that he doesn't feel all oogie woogie, and he knows that he ought, or he feels like he ought to.
He's like a gay Elliot Rogers.
Good take.
Wow.
That's certainly possible, but if I had to put money on it, in most cases when people are that vehemently opposed to something, it's because of an actual, it's a counter reaction rather than just an action.
I definitely.
Thomas, all this talk would stop if you would just answer me.
Ooh. I definitely like women.
Yeah, you most attention, bitch. Answer. Especially for females that Thomas has had a long time. He's not going to want to.
Hold on, he just answered. What did you say, Thomas?
I said multiple girls like women.
Hold on, let him answer. Hold on, go ahead.
Well, at least when I make out with them, I get excited, if you will. So I definitely like that.
excited.
But that doesn't answer my question.
Oh yeah, why I dislike sexually promiscuous women?
Yeah, well, if you're making out with a woman, like they could be considered sexually promiscuous at the time, no?
Sure, I guess, but that wouldn't be the working definition of what I mean by sexually promiscuous, or it's not even what I mean by like.
What is the working definition?
So,
messy, pass around, party bottom.
Well, no, like chicks that just.
Well, how do you know? Are you asking every girl that you make out with how many people they have sex with?
Oh yeah, generally. Is that not a normal thing for a guy?
How do you know they're not lying?
I love Snooks.
Wait, real quick though, before you like get into any type of relationship with a woman, do you not try to figure out how many people they've slept with?
Pass me that party bottom.
That's for the guys in the
Some
room.
people don't care. Some people genuinely don't care. But even if they did, some people still find out and don't care. But apart from that, they can still lie to you.
I make sure it's a sufficiently high number, so I'm not going to be wasting my time with the discipline. Do you think I'm joking?
No, I believe you.
That's
That's
a question to ask because you can never verify it, and it doesn't mean anything. If a girl says 20 or 5 or 0, who the fuck cares? They're with you at the current time, so it's just
obviously
let sleeping dogs lie. It's a silly question.
Obviously, I
Very true.
Man, this party.
Well, you care, but you also say that you dislike promiscuous women when you make out with them. And they could have 20 sexual partners, and you would literally never know because they could be lying to you. So
sure,
the whole thing about
I would say there's maybe like a level of trust or something like that, or the ways in which
level of trust. Well, a level of trust could be there. That doesn't mean they can't lie to you. I have a level of trust with my parents that's insane.
Yeah. I don't have absolute certainty, right? If a girl tells me she's only slept with 2 guys and she's really slept with 50 or something, I don't have absolute certainty that she's not lying to me.
Yeah, he just dislikes
the idea. I've lied to a lot of partners that had a lot of trust.
I think it'd be generally okay.
I'm not saying that's a bad
thing. Leave them in that moment, and there are other ways in which I usually find out how these women. Or how many people these women have slept with. Usually I go through other people who they wouldn't lie to, generally. But they still could have lied. Absolutely. There's no absolute...
I have another question for you. How many women have you made out with 2. Or had sex with?
Sex, 0. Kiss, like, for more than a minute, 2.
I like how you specified more than a minute. That's so cute.
Well, I don't know what some people define as making out. Like, if you kiss a girl for a little bit, like 30 seconds, 4 or 5 kisses or whatever. I don't think that would be making out, would it?
I suppose not.
It is.
Okay.
It's just not very long.
I guess it just wouldn't be very long. I guess if you don't pot kiss, it's considered making out.
I've just had people define making out differently. So, like, by some people's definitions, I've only made out with 1 girl. By other people's definitions, I made out with 3.
Big difference.
So you're a whore.
I don't think I would define a whore.
Under God's standards, you're a whore.
Okay, why would you say that?
Because you're being sexually promiscuous. You went around with more than 1 woman.
Yeah,
I just imagine Thomas with a slut tattoo, tattooed on his ass.
With a tramp stamp.
It's a slut.
I could absolutely see Thomas with a tramp stamp.
Oh my God, are those thigh tattoos that are like the bows in the back of the thigh?
Hey, Thomas. I
wonder if that's right. I wonder if in some sense I could be considered sexually promiscuous.
I could see Thomas with like angel wings, 1 on each ass cheek.
No, it would be an eye. It would be a very detailed, like photorealistic eye on each ass cheek.
Thomas,
either side of the hole, and then you could make it have a nose, or I don't know, it could be smoking a cigar or something.
See, I think something sexual would have to happen though for someone to be considered. Like, let's say
you can be an emotional whore.
Kissing is sexual.
Is it? I don't know, Claire. I feel like other things have to go
Kissing can definitely be sexual. If you want to make it sexual, it can be sexual. You can also be an emotional whore.
I don't know if an emotional whore. Well, we can get to that, but I don't know if the cases in which most times I've kissed girls is sexual.
Yeah, but it obviously can be.
Yeah, I just don't think it has.
If you find it sexually,
you don't think it has been, but you referred to the times where you kissed girls and got aroused sexually.
Right,
come on, man.
It's sexual if you find it.
I was referring to one specific moment. Then the other, let's say other times. Oh, let's say like half.
So you didn't get aroused the other times.
Yeah, I haven't been some of the other.
But were you thinking about any sexual thoughts or wanting to do anything more?
One of the times.
Jesus.
1 out of the 3 or 2 out of the 3?
1 out of the 3.
Were you just thinking about cuddling them? Because that's...
I think cuddling is really gay. No.
What the fuck?
Yeah, there's nothing gayer than cuddling a girl. That's like
You
the gayest thing
have
can
like
do.
serious issues. Like,
Thomas, I care about you. I like you.
don't say that.
I'm confused about you.
So
and I'm not attacking you by saying you're a whore. I was just joking, but wow, I'm really confused on you.
So like, when you get done having sex with a girl, you're just gonna like rabbit kick her in the fucking small of your back out of your bed. Like, it's
let's be honest.
It's gonna be that scene from fucking from
Scary movie.
with William Dafoe when he's a fucking gay detective and the guy's
Oh,
Boondock Saints.
Yes.
And he's like, cuddle? What are you, a fag? Like,
Hey, good yeah.
Oh, Zach's.
Demonetized. Thanks, guys.
Oof.
How would you feel about cuddling Zax, Thomas?
Yeah.
You feel all secure? He's got all those.
Because I tried
cuddling your
cuddling-
dad,
no,
right?
we tried it, right? And it was just weird. And I was like, no.
Tried you cuddling Zax?
No, with a girl. It's just weird. I thought I would enjoy it. And no, it was not.
You didn't enjoy cuddling with have you ever cuddled with a male?
I have enjoyed that, to be honest. Yeah. I was very tired.
Okay, I think I figured out your issue, Thomas.
10 points for him being gay?
He was very
But I didn't enjoy it sexually, so it wouldn't be gay. It wouldn't be.
Only took you 5 minutes to realize he was gay.
Yeah, I think we figured out your issue.
For quite a while.
So you don't
You
enjoy
could be just
cuddling with a
bisexual.
female. You don't enjoy
No.
cuddling with a female, but you do enjoy cuddling with a male.
That's kind of gay.
You could be one of those rare Danny types.
It has the appearance of being gay, right? But if there's
Okay, it's Sunday night. It's time for Bun to show us her tits.
I think you should show us your tits.
I forget what Bun looks like. Post a picture.
No.
Bun, they've already seen my tits. They've seen my nips.
I know,
They've
but
seen my
I'm
glistening
drawing, so I
abs,
can't be fucking bothered.
rippling.
Bun, remember to stay
in
within.
my room.
All the girls are really spicy in here today.
Alright, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Bun, remember when you're
No, don't be sorry,
coloring.
Bun.
When you're coloring, you want to
Bun,
stay
stand your
in.
ground.
Jesus.
Me.
Is Shamos gonna get unmuted?
He's not
He's not
muted
muted right now.
He's self-muted. That's not a server mute. Never has been since he came back.
What were you guys arguing about?
Yeah, I'll just say this because I know I'm going to be continuously interrupted and muted and just abused. But what I think is inappropriate is it was my turn to speak, and Snoog said that she was going to moderate. And what happened was Androcus had muted me 2 minutes before that, while it was my turn to speak, to tell me that I need to respect, to just go into meta and tell me that I need to respect Fia. What's interesting is when it was my turn to speak, I wasn't even allowed to address Androcus at all with any meta, even though he was allowed to mute me and tell me, oh, you need to respect Fia, even though that's going to accomplish nothing and literally accomplish nothing. But when I said it's inappropriate for you to mute somebody you're not even participating in the discussion and you're muting me during my time to speak, it's completely inappropriate. And I wasn't afforded the ability to say that from this stupid bitch Snoogs who said that she said, oh, I'm going to fucking moderate, but she's not going to moderate on the clause that I was speaking about meta, even though Androcus can mute me and speak about all the fucking meta he wants, completely uninterrupted. That just shows how fucking patently dishonest you guys are. So fucking have a nice day. I'll fucking leave you guys alone because I know you're just going to abuse the shit out of me repeatedly. So fuck all of you, fuck Snoogs, you're dead to me. Fuck all of you.
Bye, Shamos.
Did he leave?
I don't know.
We can have this argument. Shamos, we'll have this argument. We'll debate like normal people. I'm okay with it. And
no, you're not okay with it because you fucking interrupted me. No, you're not okay with it because you fucking interrupted me during my time to speak. I let you speak for 3.5 fucking minutes, you dumb bitch. And as soon as you finished, I actually interrupted you because I thought that you were done. And then I said, oh, okay, I thought you were finished. I let you go on. You went on for about 20 seconds longer. Stop. As soon as I went to respond to you, I was immediately interrupted and muted by Androcus and talked over by you the whole fucking time. So don't sit here and pretend like you wanted to hash it out. You want to have the conversation. No, you didn't. I let you speak for 3.5 minutes uninterrupted, and then you interrupted me directly and then allowed Androcus to fucking abuse me. Also, he could mute me to say I need to respect you. You think I'm gonna fucking come out of that mute and respect you? You think that accomplished anything? No, it was just him putting his foot down. He thinks he's a mod. He thinks he's allowed to mod and do whatever the fuck he wants, and he was just trying to show that he had some power there. Muting me and telling me to respect Fia. Do you think I'm gonna come out of the mute? Oh yeah, Fia, I'm totally gonna respect you. No, it was wasteful. It was complete meta, and I wasn't even allowed to address him back. That's how you guys operate. You'll fucking do some shit to me, stop my conversation, divulge it into meta, and then when I respond to you guys with meta, you say, no, that's not what the conversation was about. That just shows how fucking patently dishonest you motherfuckers are. Fia, you are genetically inferior. You are medically inferior. You're way, way worse on that scale than most normal people. And for you to sit there and say you're not inferior and that you don't have serious fucking problems compared to the average person, it's just fucking crazy. And not just that, but you have mental issues, and you even admitted you had brain fucking damage.
Yay, he got it out.
So I am willing to listen to any actual. Wait, is he still here? Oh, okay.
No, you're not.
I'm willing to listen to actual. I'm completely willing. I'm a lot calmer now, and I'm willing to listen to anything you have to say without interrupting you, just like I just did. I will mute myself. I won't have any issue with you.
Why couldn't you do that earlier?
I was going to let you speak before you left. I was literally telling people to stop talking and let you speak.
3.5 minutes and then you interrupted me directly. Why couldn't you do that earlier?
I was genuinely very upset, and I know I was wrong to interrupt you, and I'm sorry. I should have let you speak it out and then tell you what was wrong.
Punk ass Androcus, who muted me just to say I need to respect you.
He didn't mute you over that.
Do you think it was appropriate for him to mute me when I was supposed to speak and address you back, and then he mutes me to tell me I should respect you? And then when I come back, Gus, you and him were repeatedly interrupting me, as well as Bent. And you guys think it's like funny or something. You think it's funny that I sat there and listened to you for 3.5 minutes, completely uninterrupted, and then when I speak, all three of you guys just slam on me. You think that's good?
I wasn't interrupting you when you came back. And I don't think Androcus was muting you for that. I think he was trying to say something else.
I was muted 3 times by Androcus. The last time I was muted by Androcus, the third time I was muted by Androcus was when I was supposed to speak. Everyone had already stopped, and I was starting to address you, and then he muted me to say, I need to show respect to you. I'm not going to hear you talk.
Check the audit log. I muted you once, Shamos. God damn, if you're going to lie, at least check your facts.
Okay, so I get muted 3 times.
Once by me.
Okay, so who are the other people? I don't have access to
there is no other mute, Shamos. You are only muted once.
That's a straight fucking lie. That's straight
It's not possible.
Screenshot the audit. Screenshot the audit log. Screenshot the audit log.
You got it.
No need.
And can I just defend myself a little bit here, please?
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. You're a shitty mod. I can't believe they even gave you
The answer is no, clearly.
You're like, I'm going to apply this random standard, and the random standard that I'm arbitrarily picking is whether or not you're talking about meta or about Fia.
No,
you're
right. No,
listen. They get to talk about meta all they want, right, Snugs? They get to talk about meta all they want. But I have to talk just about Fia. Just about Fia is all I can
Listen. You're right. No.
Get fucked.
You're
Get
right.
fucked, Shamos. Look at the log. Get fucked.
You're right. I should have been more specific about the rule that I had established. That is my bad, and I completely apologize.
He's gone. He left. I muted him so you could talk, and he's gone.
Great.
Love XD.
Thank you, Char. You beat me to it. I just was gonna post a screenshot of the log, and you fucking beat me to it.
Why is Shamos shitting all over Fia? What is his problem?
So what happened was that first he started saying that I was using a word wrong when I wasn't. Then he started shitting on me for using, that picture of me with blue eyeshadow? He started shitting on me because I used too much makeup apparently. And then he started trying to tell me that I'm genetically inferior. And then he went on this rant about that. So yeah.
As a woman, that last one is true.
Oh wow.
That's kind of rude.
Kinda.
There's a lot of women hating going on today, but I was actually willing to let him speak and get out his point this time around.
No, you weren't willing to let me speak. Stop lying.
I said this time around.
You interrupted me.
I literally said this time around.
No, you weren't willing to let me speak. You interrupted me.
This time around.
She's saying now she will.
Interrupt me. And then you allowed us to come in here and create some arbitrary standard. Like, it's really the fact that I get to have no privileges of being uninterrupted unless I'm talking about Fia. Yet, Androcus can mute me and talk about meta completely uninterrupted. So that just shows a disparity. That just means that you guys can talk about whatever the fuck you want, whenever you want, and I have to talk about a fucking specific topic or I'm just completely shit on. Fuck you, Snugs.
Shamos,
You're dead.
Shamos, you can talk.
literally talk about shit all the time, and people let you do it. And the
Have you
one
ever
time we
heard about
actually
me?
give you a slap on the wrist, you act like a fucking bitch. What is your problem?
No, I act like a bitch when I'm going 1 versus 4 in a
Shamos,
conversation.
do you want to
I'm
have this
4
debate
versus
with
1
me?
4 different people. They're clogging the mic time. She speaks for 3.5 minutes. I let her speak for uninterrupted. Then I come back and I'm instantly interrupted and instantly muted. It's just unbelievable that you guys think that that's a fair way to run a discussion.
I already apologized for it.
Me silent for 3.5 minutes. Thea speaks and says shit that's completely irrelevant. She was saying shit like, yeah, I really don't want to get married and I like myself and the pills make me
Everything I
who I
said
am.
was
When none of
about
those
getting
things
married
had
and having
anything to
kids,
do
so
with the
it's
original
not
topic.
fair to
She
say
was afforded the privilege to speak for
Shamos.
3.5 fucking minutes over
Shamos,
bullshit.
you're being dishonest now. You did mention her viability as a marriage partner and a breeder. Yes, you did. You brought that
but
up
that had
almost
nothing to do.
immediately.
That had nothing to do with her and being inferior, and that's what we were debating at that current moment. It had nothing to do with that. I was talking about her being medically and genetically inferior, and that's all that I said. Okay, I did
So you
mention.
brought
I
those
did
up as
mention. I
examples of
did
why,
mention
as to
10
why
minutes
it'd be
earlier about her
undesirable to
saying
have
that
her.
she wasn't going to get married and that she couldn't have kids. But that wasn't relevant or pertinent to the conversation that was going on then. You guys pretend like if I mentioned something 10 minutes before and then we have
It wasn't
complete
10 minutes apart. It was less than 30 seconds apart.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so
You
at
know,
all.
I wouldn't bring this up if I didn't think it was
Yeah,
true. Like,
I
I
don't
have
think you're
no
correct.
stake
I was
against.
speaking. I don't think you're correct. I'd love to look at the tape. I'm sure it exists. I don't think you're correct because I was speaking about genetic and medical inferiority, and that's all I was speaking about in that instance. And so what I'm saying is she was allowed to speak completely uninterrupted for 3.5 minutes, and she was bringing up shit that was completely irrelevant to the discussion. And I sat there and sat completely through it. And then she's sitting here right now lying to everybody saying, oh, I was willing to let you speak. I'm willing to let you speak. Except for as soon as I unmuted,
I said
she
this time
fucking
around.
interrupted me immediately, and then Anderchris muted me, and then after
it
I got
doesn't matter what
unmuted,
you say. He's still
Vince
going to just
kept
change his
speaking up.
topic.
And then y'all were laughing
Still
about
going
it
to
as
change
if
what
it
you
was
said
kind
into
of
something
cool
else.
or interesting that I waited 3.5 minutes to be interrupted repeatedly by Bent, Anderchris, and Thea. Makes no
Well,
fucking
I
sense.
already apologized for interrupting you, and I said that I would let you speak this time around. I don't know
I'm
what
not
else I
asking you to
can do.
apologize for anyone else, but what about the behavior that Anderchris was doing? What about the behavior that Bent was doing? What about when I got unmuted and Bent just kept talking over me saying bullshit? You think that's appropriate? You think that's a way to have a discussion? So you get to say whatever the fuck you want to me, bring up as many points as you want, and then when it comes my turn, I'm interrupted and I get muted and I can't respond back. You think that's appropriate way to have a discussion? You think that's fair and equitable?
Well, it wasn't
No, it's
about
not.
responding to me. It was about
No, it's
responding
not.
to
That's how
Andricus.
dishonest motherfuckers run conversation. That's how dishonest, lying motherfuckers
That's
run
kind of funny
conversation.
considering you were literally lying about everything you were responding about.
No, I used words that you took issue
Right,
with. I
you
said
you lied about
I said
Fia
you dropped
saying that you
out.
dropped
You
out. You
literally
lied
lied
about
about everything you said, which is why I was interrupting you in the first place. Because I find it
I
really
said the word
dishonest that you were allowed to
dropout
lie
when the
like
correct
that.
word was transfer, even though everyone knew my point.
But you got the age wrong too.
The reason
Like
why
everything about what you said was wrong.
The reason why you were no longer in high school is because of your medical issues, and you had to transfer.
That's not true. Literally, none of what you're saying is true right now, which is what I was trying to tell you. If you're gonna respond to me, make it
it's not
so that
true
your
I live on a
response
boat.
is
It's not true that I
factually
have a
correct.
beard. Even though I prove to you guys and give evidence that I live on a boat and have a beard, now it's not true. Even though you've
I'm
said
sorry,
these
have
things.
I proved to you guys that I have medical problems at all?
Publicly about these things, but they're not true.
Yeah, but I haven't shown you any paperwork, have I?
You want to know what's really interesting? Andricus said something to me earlier that you should not be attacking Pia first, personally. Want to know what's really interesting? Every time anyone responds to me, it's always about a boat, right? And you guys want to talk to me about personal attacks. That's the funny part, okay?
Well,
You're proud
I
that you
think
live on a
that
boat, though.
I think if you want to attack people that attack you, that's fine. But I literally try not to attack you. I literally try not to engage you unless you engage me first. So I
You're
think
worthless.
it's like
You're worthless. I'm glad. I appreciate you doing that because you couldn't do it.
You're
I wouldn't learn
welcome.
anything from you. It'd be worthless to
You're
even talk to you.
so
I'm glad that you
welcome.
adopted that.
You're so welcome.
Yeah,
Of course,
the
of
facts
course,
of the
you
matter.
forget-
The facts of the
my
matter are
point-
this:
forget
y'all
that
are
in
dishonest
90%
motherfuckers. Y'all run
if you-
conversations in a way where you
if you
abuse
forget
the
that
other
99%
interlocutor. It was
conversations
4
that he
versus
has.
1. I was continually
Yeah,
interrupted.
yeah,
Were you muted, Thea? Were you muted?
Yeah.
I was. Were you muted, Thea? I
No,
was.
because I was correcting your lies.
guys.
Yeah, you're the one that said I muted you 3 times,
I don't have a
Shamos.
beard.
I don't know why you're going off with lies, Shamos. When you said I muted you 3
I
times,
was
you
being
said you were
very
muted 3
honest.
times.
Right? Now you can deny them, okay?
I was being honest, and you took everything I said out of context
being
and
honest, too.
completely
I
switched
don't
it
live on a
around.
boat. I
I
don't
can
have a beard.
repeat everything I said word for word, and it would be the same thing. However, and I could add more detail to it if you would really like to know. However, you took everything I said completely out of context. You took everything I said and switched it around, got my ages wrong, and you were saying stuff that wasn't true. So yes, I interrupted you because if you're going to respond to me in a debate about my life, then you better get things right.
Well, here's the only problem with that. And I've been in debates a lot longer than you have. And you want to know what's pretty much generally agreed on? If I lie or if I say something wrong, I'm going to be just as wrong when I'm done speaking. Okay? And the other thing is, I probably
Then
would
stop,
be given the opportunity.
then stop speaking quicker. Like, what the fuck?
Well, not only would I still be just as wrong when I finished, so you
But
still
when you
have
build points on
bring
top
that
of
up.
lies, though,
I
you
would
can
have
create a
probably had
structure
the
that's much more
opportunity to put
difficult
my
to
foot in my
attack.
mouth even more. But what
Yeah, but
happens? What happens? This isn't how debates.
structure built on top of lies.
Thea, when you spoke for 3.5 minutes, don't you think that I wanted to object to some of the shit you were saying is bullshit? But I didn't.
You
want to know
literally
why?
couldn't because the shit I was saying is personal.
My time to object is not during your speech, it's after. And that's when I collect my thoughts and I write down on a notepad the little things that I want to bring up that you've
That's
said.
only in a
But see,
formal
you
debate.
don't do that. What you do is the moment you hear something, you go ahead and you interrupt, right? And
That's
then the
only in a
person
formal
loses track
debate.
of everything they were saying, loses track of all the thoughts that they had ordered in the way that they wanted to say them. And then you get a little small victory because you're an interruptive cunt. Okay, but so what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to say, okay, he said a lie there. I'm going to take a note of this. When he finishes, I'm going to address that. But you don't do that. Don't do that, Thea.
Well, most of us were arguing that it wasn't a debate in the first place.
Shitty ass interlocutor, and you just interrupt people whenever the fuck you want. You know, I would say this. I'd be willing to venture that if you guys didn't four verse one me, you didn't continually mod abuse me, you didn't continually have people like Snooks lying about how she's going to moderate, then if it wasn't like that, I would just come in here and fucking obliterate all of you guys. This is the only way you can have any type of defense.
What you do is you come in and bore us to death, and we've got better things to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just confused as to why Shamos is getting so butthurt about this and being interrupted when he does this all the time. He'll talk for hours without no one interrupting him.
Yep.
If you want to know how it feels to be interrupted all the time, you should be me.
You're not above the
deserve
law.
to be
Joker.
interrupted all the time, though. You deserve to be interrupted. You deserve to be kicked off of the server.
Okay.
You deserve.
You little shit.
Unmutes just to say, oh.
Yeah, so your value judgment determines whether
you don't have
somebody
to
can be
unmute your
interrupted or
mic to
not.
laugh
Yeah,
into it.
okay.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to be that guy. I know that you can't control it, but you don't have to be that guy, Andrew.
I like being that guy.
You don't have to be that guy that bitches and moans about every little thing.
You've injected people into the server like irrelevant, meaningless people, unvaluable people in the server like Androcus, fucking Bun,
Unvaluable.
Milk. And what happens is then when a real conversation is going on, they flood it with just static. Androcus fucks everything up, mutes it, says a bunch of bullshit that's irrelevant. No one's going to remember tomorrow. Bun gives her little emotional appeal. I mean, Bun.
So you yelling at Fia that she's inferior is legitimate conversation.
Did you know that before you guys came around, the irrelevant ones, like we actually were able to have way more concise conversations.
You yelling at Fia that she's inferior is legitimate.
All you are is a dumbass. You know nothing about philosophy, nothing about shit. You're fucking a dumbass, and all you do is create static in the room and create problems.
So you yelling at Fia that she's inferior is legitimate conversation.
You're a net negative for the room, a loss. The room is at a loss when you participate.
We just spent a long time.
And what's the worst part about it is we've acquired like five of you, and the worst part about it is you're all leftists. So you almost universally interrupt just me. So I have 5 little shitbags who contribute nothing to the server.
So you yelling at Fia that she's inferior is legitimate conversation.
Full of milk. Fia, it's just like none of you have ever contributed anything. And I have to weed through. This fucking
Shamos, you're filibustering. Hey, Shamos, so you yelling at you. Hold on. So Shamos, you yelling at Fia that she's inferior. No other describer attacked to it. Yeah, you said she was genetically inferior. Yeah, you said she was emotionally inferior. But then in the middle of it, you raising your pitch to her and saying you're inferior. That's legitimate conversation to you?
Yeah, because I just previously justified in the way of which I thought she was inferior and gave actual justification for it. And look, the problem is, I don't even think any of you disagree with what I said because none of you ever commented on it. In fact, Fia only wanted to comment on how I was wrong about the days of school she missed. She didn't want to comment on whether or not it was actually true, sense of the word inferior, if she actually had medical issues that she couldn't complete health or medical goals in the same way someone that couldn't. And no one ever challenged that. So what I'm thinking is we're all in agreement that she's actually medically and genetically inferior.
Nobody believes that it's worth arguing when you
Actually,
yell.
Andrew,
That's
go ahead.
whether or not it's true and whether or not it's worth arguing is something completely independent. I'm not curious about whether or not you think it's worth arguing. I'm curious about whether or not you think it's true or not.
The reason that nobody said anything about what you said about Fia's medical issues is because you did what you often do. You started off with a shitty foundation and you layer caked a larger argument based off of what you thought was wrong with her medically. And you blended and smoothed it in to the fact that now she's not worthy of fucking having any children. She's not worthy to get married. And so by the time we got along to it, by the time somebody was able to get in and talk about it, we were already fucking 8 paragraphs down the road. This is why people tend to cut you off at the knees when you make initially erroneous statements, because then you turn around and you build slanty shanties on top of bad foundations.
Yet I'm still wrong at the end of what I said. And
yes,
see, this is always
but
traditionally this has always been the number one excuse for interrupting people. If you're starting to say something incorrect,
hey, if it works for Matt
I'm allowed to interrupt you on that basis.
it's good enough for
and
you.
This has been the primary
If it
reason that
works
people
for
have
Matt
always
Dillahunty,
offered
it's
for
good enough
interruptions.
for you.
And it's actually interesting that a lot of people think it's justified. This case right here, if someone says something wrong, you can interrupt them as much as you want. But here's the problem with that. Most times in discussions, both interlocutors are committed that both people are wrong, okay? And that they're saying things that aren't true, saying things that are the implications are incorrect. And so what would happen if that were really the case, and what adjudicated it was whether the other interlocutors thought what was said was false or untrue or a lie, then they could interrupt. It literally would be an arbitrary standard. Anyone can interrupt at any time, and it would just be a complete fucking shit show.
I don't accept
That's
your
why
premise.
it's appropriate to
interrupt,
not interrupt. Take notes, get a fucking notepad,
I don't on a
get a
basic level
pen.
accept your premise. This basic premise you have
get a
that
notepad.
this basic premise you have that both people consider each other to be thoroughly incorrect on all points simply doesn't play out in real life.
Shamos, you can think of many situations in which you think it's prudent to interrupt somebody and stop them from going on a tangent or whatever.
What I'm saying is, you guys don't think that I feel the same way.
I already apologized for it. I already said I would let you speak now.
No, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Something's a little more important here. Jovan, how come I don't participate in that? Don't you think that the majority of time, I think that most people have got the input. No, not in the conversation. I do it before it devolves into a complete shit show. By the time it's become a complete shit show, I no longer do that. And I was actually the one that did I do that when Fia spoke for 3.5 minutes, mostly about irrelevant shit? No, actually, there's empirical evidence to show that I didn't interrupt at all. I just sat through the whole fucking dumbass fucking 3 minutes of it. Okay? So that's not true. It is true that before a conversation goes to shit, we can have a back and forth. Me and Josh have back and forth. I can interrupt him. He can interrupt me. And it all goes okay. But when it becomes a complete shit show, 4 verse 1, interrupting mutes have already come out. I'm sitting there saying,
yeah, once it becomes a shit show, then everybody should just let everybody finish.
And I said, look, I'm going to let Fia speak uninterrupted, and I'm going to let her finish. And then I shut up, and then she spoke for 3.5 minutes, and then as soon as I went to speak, guess what happened? Fia interrupted me. Andricus muted me to say I need to be more respectful. And then once I got unmuted, I started again to say what I said, and then Bent continually interrupted me. Do you think that's appropriate?
By the way, Jovan, what he's leaving out of the conversation is that he did what he often does, where before he gets to the actual topic of the discussion, Jovan, he lays out a laundry list of all the people he thinks has wronged him in the last 4 or 5 exchanges and says things like, well, this one said this and that one said that, and if that one had shut up, I could have gotten to this sooner, and I couldn't have gotten to that sooner, but that one wouldn't stop talking. Basically, he goes meta, and then if you're lucky, he gets back to the original point.
Yeah, I'm allowed to talk about meta, especially when most of you guys were talking about meta. When you think when Andricus muted me to say you need to be more respectful to Fia, I'm not going to let you talk to her that way. Do you think that was meta?
One
Do
of
you
these
think that was
days,
meta?
Seamus, you are going to learn that there is a difference between instigation and response. If I'm minding my own business and you run up and punch me in the face, I am permitted to punch you back.
It's not what happened.
Well,
That's
I don't.
exactly what happened.
Well,
In fact, Fia
this
was the
I don't
one that
know. I
brought up the
wasn't there,
medical
right?
issues.
But let's just say this: if there's a case where I'm in a conversation with somebody and then I get muted and then I get like told something like meta, and then I want to. I'm not like saying anything bad about you. I'm just saying like hypothetical. If there's I've done this in other servers. If I get muted and then I'm upset about something the mod did, like a meta thing, but they do meta at me, then I think it's perfectly within my right to use my time that I was going to talk to that person, to throw a little bit meta back, call the dude a little asshole or whatever, and say I wasn't,
Yeah, that's appropriate.
and then continue on with my conversation.
Well,
Yes,
yeah,
and that's precisely what I was doing. This is precisely what I was doing. Thank you, Jovan, for saying that, because this is what happened. He muted me. He muted me. He said, I need to respect Fia. He's not going to let me speak to Fia that way. Gus,
You wouldn't
Gus,
lay
no
out
one's
an
listening to you.
entire like fake elves list.
Jovan, I'm trying to respond to you.
This
Okay?
gigantic
Gus is
list
interrupting
of
us. You see how this works?
I'm talking to Jovan about the point. Yeah, I wouldn't. Jovan,
No,
I've seen
Jovan
you.
just said something very succinctly that
sometimes
actually
talk
matches
about-
up with my
Jovan, I've seen you
behavior,
sometimes
and I
talk
want
about
to
dealing with-
comment on
I
it.
will get it out.
Well, just I get
This
it. Well,
conversation is
I know what you're
about
saying,
me.
Gus.
This
I know what you're saying, Gus.
conversation
You're
is
saying that it
about
could be
me.
very
This
long-winded, and that's
conversation
going to
is
piss
about
people
me.
off.
I should be able to respond to Jovan. It
Every
doesn't
time he
go
opens
you
his
two.
mouth,
It
what
doesn't go
happens is he doubles
Jovan,
his talk time.
Gus, Shamos,
And then,
Jovan, Gus,
and then he turns
Shamos.
around,
That's not how it
and
goes.
accuses everybody else of
You
filibustering.
guys, this is again more dishonest debate tactics. I'm the one that everyone's speaking to, and I can't respond to Jovan. I have to hear what Jovan says, hold that all in my mind, hear what Gus says, hold all of that in my mind, and then attempt to respond to both of them. And you think that's appropriate? Okay,
Well,
so
you know
what's going
what-
to happen
you know
is
what,
this:
Seamus?
you're going to
Maybe
shut
if you
up.
just-
I'm going to
maybe if you were
respond
just an
directly to
honest
Jovan.
fucking
Then you're
communicator,
going to say something,
maybe if you
and
were
then
just an
Jovan
honest-
or me can respond to that depending on who it's directed to. That's what's going to happen. Okay, so Jovan, that's precisely what had happened. Okay, I had been muted, and then when I was muted, what was interesting, I was muted during the time where I was supposed to be speaking. He mutes me. Then he speaks about meta, says, I'm not going to let you speak to Fia that way. I want you to give her more respect. I get unmuted. So now I want to address the fact that he just abused me. The fact that he didn't, that was completely unnecessary. It's not going to change my behavior towards Fia. He wasn't a participant in the conversation. And I was just saying, that's uncalled for. That's making the conversation worse. And so as I was directing that, Snoogs says, I'm going to make, people are interrupting me left and right. Snoogs goes, I'm going to ensure that Shamos doesn't get uninterrupted. So I begin again. I start with the meta to address what Andricus did. Then I'm going to go to my point. Everyone starts interrupting me. Snoogs says, look, if you're going to talk about meta, then you have no right to not be interrupted. So here's what's interesting about that, Jovan. Andricus can mute me, speak about meta uninterrupted. Then when ball goes back to me, I can only speak about Fia. I can't address anything he said, and if I do, I'm allowed to be interrupted. Do you see how fucked up that is?
That's not what
I was
happened.
just a comment on how fucked up that was. No, you're dead to me. You're dead to me. You can't even moderate.
If it was the case, simply what happened was what you described. There was no additional information. Then yeah, that seems messed up.
That's exactly what fucking.
In hindsight, I made a mistake in the way I presented the rules. I should have made some sort of mention about all of that, and I didn't anticipate that being where the conversation was going to go.
But that's not how it works.
I thought we were just
If that's how it works, Andricus wouldn't been able to mute me and speak about meta. If that's how it works, if it was about Fia and anyone that speaks about not about Fia gets to be interrupted, then why did he get to mute me and speak interrupted about meta? That's not how it works. What you did is you forwarded a standard that was actually advantageous to you guys in the moment. So you forwarded a made-up standard that doesn't apply, that Andricus just broke, and you forwarded that standard for the very reason that was advantageous to you and disadvantageous to me. That's fucking ridiculous. No, if he speaks about meta, when I'm unmuted, I get to address that, and I'm going to make my fucking point. And you thought it was appropriate, Snooks, to say, nope, you're allowed to be interrupted unless you just speak about Fia. You know what that means? That means that there are only a limited amount of topics that I can speak about, and that there means there's a much larger amount of topics that you guys can speak about. You can throw all different stones at me, and I can only address a certain amount of them. That is the most dishonest debate tactic that's ever been employed. What should have happened is this: you should have been a moderator. You should have kept your word, and you should have muted the people as you said you were going to mute, but you didn't. You're a shitty mod. You're fucking dead to me. Androcus, fucking piece of shit, wasn't even a participant in that discussion, and me and Fia were just completely uninterrupted while she was interrupting me. So congrats, guys. You're really good at debating. This is the type of environment we want to foster going forward. And you guys are doing a great job.
I don't even get forgiveness for saying that I see my mistake. You're just gonna okay.
So let me see if I've got this straight.
Don't go Stockholm. Don't go Stockholm syndrome.
Let me see if I've
It's
got
not
this
Stockholm
straight.
syndrome.
Let me see if I've got this straight. Hang on. I want to see if I understand. I want to see if I understand. I want to see if I understand. Oh my God! Seriously?
Shamos, you had your time. Let Gus talk.
Seriously?
God damn it.
I want to see if
Like
I
we're
understand.
all being quiet for you now.
I want to see if I understand this new reality that Shamos wants to promote here. So I can come in here, no matter what tone I use, no matter what angle of attack I take, no matter how I comport myself, no matter how hateful or nasty or fucking obviously brutish I am, as long as I'm the one asking the question who gets the floor first, I'm allowed to say anything I want, with the only exception being those two little words you can't say under the terms of service. And if I'm a shithead throughout the conversation, no one's allowed to mod me. No one's allowed to say anything. No one's allowed to take any external factors into effect. That's the way it works here?
No, that's not the way it works here.
Oh, really?
But you'll notice that's distinct from what I did. What I did is I came in and Theo was the one who brought up her medical problems. And then I just responded to it and brought up my critique of it. And so if you do go back to the conversation, you will notice I didn't just come in and say, "Hey, Thea, you dumb bitch with your stupid medical problems," and that's not how the conversation started.
Well, actually, you started. Actually, you started literally attacking me over my makeup and the fact that I used a word wrong when I didn't, and then you started attacking me over my medical problems, and it was really random and out of nowhere.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. Thea. It started over makeup, and I was criticizing you about blasting your eyes with all that blue stuff.
Every single time
and because what it was is you said, hold on, I remember the conversation now. You said something about your eyes. It had some problem with your eyes, and I said it's probably because all that blue makeup you put around it fell in your eyes. And then so it started with Thea talking about her eye, me bringing up a relevant factor about her eye that I thought might have caused that ailment. And then what happened is the conversation just started to progress, okay? And then she actually brought up her medical problems, and then I weighed in on it. So don't come in here and say that this is where I will agree with Gus. This is where I will agree with Gus. Gus, if I were to come in and just target Thea and say, "Thea, hey, you dumb bitch, you and your medical issues," and just start grilling her out of nowhere, I agree that in that case, I have no right to
continue. You are a lying shit sack.
You know for a fact that my makeup.
Shamos wants you to believe that he came in and with no more vocal inflection than he would say the soup is hot, the soup is cold, he started, just engaging as one curious person with another about somebody's eye makeup.
There was a lot of emotional vocal inflection. I'm very prominent for doing that. It's something that I'm very denied that I came there and delivered it monotone. No, I came in there and delivered it passionately.
I will get it out. If she mutes me, I'll type it 1,000 times in the side chat. I will get it out. There is a difference between what you say you did and the way you say you did it and what you actually did. And what you actually did was hyper confrontational, designed to start a fucking fight and designed to keep one going.
I don't deny any of that.
You did till 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
I denied it up until 5 minutes ago that I came in, spoke passionately, was being controversial, etc. I denied
not controversially. Belligerence, accusation, bellicose.
Yeah, I was being bellicose, but you're saying that I contended that?
Yes, no, you're saying that you didn't. That you said you contended that you were speaking about it with no more bellicosity than one would say the soup is hot, the soup is cold. That you were just being completely neutral about it. You weren't. You came in looking for a fight.
I don't deliver speeches flat and in monotone. Yes, I spoke passionately. Yes, I was being bellicose. I would never deny that.
Nobody said you were trying to be monotone.
I never did deny that, nor would I ever would deny that. I never did deny it, and I never would deny it.
You keep fiddly-diddly-deeing around specific words so that you can identify yourself and say,
okay, hold on.
Shit that they're saying I'm denying now.
Hold on. You literally said you didn't come in and just randomly attacked my medical problems, but you know for a fact that it wasn't my eyeshadow that caused my eye problem.
I did not come in. Listen to me.
Yeah, you
very
did.
Precise here. very precise here. I did not come in and start attacking you about your medical issues. I came in, listened to a conversation. You said something about your eyes, something about it was messing with it or something like that. And then I just responded, which I know is kind of inflammatory. I'm not denying it. I just said, but maybe it's all the blue eye makeup you have jammed around it. And then the conversation proceeded. Now that's quite
and
different.
I responded with a really nice answer. I was like, yeah, it's my hobby, it's glam makeup, and that's fine.
Conversation proceeded
and then
in
you
such
called
a way
me
where you were the one
inferior.
who brought up the medical issues. You were the one who brought up the medical issues. And
Yeah, I did, because Molly was talking about hers. Molly was talking about her eyes, so I mentioned my eye.
Thank you for reminding me. That is how it happened. Molly started talking about hers, you brought up yours, and then I commented on it. Now, what I'm saying is that right there is distinct from this, what I'm about to say now. Me coming in, interrupting a conversation, and just immediately targeting your medical issues when nothing was about that, and I just was like, just change the conversation right to your medical issues, you started pounding you. I agree, I have no right to do that, nor do I, nor would I. What I did was I listened to a conversation and I started to inject myself and participate relevantly. Talking about eyes, I started talking about eye makeup.
Inject yourself. You drove in like a truck.
Genetic inferiority. So what I did there is completely in line. I didn't.
No, you're
and
lying.
I'm
Stop lying.
entitled.
Why are you lying?
I'm entitled to respect, and I'm entitled to being a.
No, you're not entitled to respect if you don't treat people
I'm
respectfully.
entitled. What I mean by respect is not you don't have to respect me as a person. I'm talking about in the discussion, in the dialect.
No,
okay?
you don't
Well,
know.
you started attacking. Well, you started asking me questions, and I answered them, and then you started attacking me for not being able to do a job over my medical problems and all of that, because I answered that no, I'm not able to do my acting and all that as frequent as I would like to because of my current medical problems, and I'm also recovering from brain surgery. So
That's
no,
right.
I'm not allowed to do it. And
But
you
you made it
literally
clear.
went on about it and about how you started asking questions and you went on about it, and then you started calling me genetically inferior over it. And
I
so yeah,
remember
you
now.
did randomly start attacking my medical
No.
issues,
I
and
remember
that's
how it happened now. You're right. I said, how much do you make a year doing this acting thing? You said, I'm not going to tell you. But then you commented, you said,
so
but
I didn't feel comfortable telling you.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And then you responded, but I don't make as much as I would because I can't do it as much as I would like to because of my medical issues. And Molly commented something about medical issues. And I just said, yeah. You're just bringing up the fact that you're genetically inferior. And I mean, that's all true. And I actually defined what I meant by inferior, and what you have clearly matches up with that description. And so I didn't just come in and start fucking railing you out of nowhere. You guys brought up the topic, and I was speaking on the topic, and I'm entitled to do that. I'm not entitled to come in and just grill you out of nowhere, interrupt a conversation, take it exactly, DD you, and I didn't DD you. So you were given an equitable
okay, Shamos, you're right.
spot in that
You're right.
conversation, and I was not afforded that equitable spot. That's all.
You're right, Shamos. You're right, and I'm sorry.
This whole thing is like Shamos being locked out, Nadia's hanging out for 2 hours.
Going forward, you're human. You have a memory. And going forward, this day will come back to you. Maybe when something like this happens, and maybe you'll act a little bit differently, and maybe we'll all be.
Yeah, next time I'll let you speak and not interrupt you until you're finally done telling everything you're doing.
It's probably a good idea to let someone who just let you speak for 3.5 minutes uninterrupted for you not to interrupt them in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, and I apologize for it.
Oh my
That's
God,
probably a good idea.
Yeah, and I apologize for it, and I should have let you speak all the way through, and just taken my notes on it.
If you want advice here, here's another thing you should do. When Andricus interjects himself, you should say, look,
I like Andricus more than you.
Should say Andricus, but I don't care. But that's not.
So I'm not going to interject anything.
No. Well, that just shows that whether you like people has to do with whether or not how you think that they should act in a given situation. You don't.
No, it had nothing to do with me. He literally was not trying to. He was trying to speak to you personally.
This is a conversation between me and him. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, that was a conversation between you and him. I had nothing to do with it.
Stop muting him. Stop interjecting yourself, Andricus. You're not part of the conversation. I've got this, Andricus. I can handle it. It's not a big deal. You should have said something like that. But what you did do is you just let your little white knight come in, who's not a part of the conversation, mute me outright, and then say a bunch of dumb, irrelevant shit that's never going to happen. Like, I'm not going to talk to you like this.
Not a singular
but I'm still talking to you like this. I'm not going to let you disrespect Fia. I'm still disrespecting you. So none of that meant anything, but you just let it happen. You never chastised her for that. And then when Bent kept saying, you're not on topic, you're, and just keep interrupting me as I was beginning to speak, you never said,
Shamos,
Bent, you're
we
actually
need to
ruining my
let
guys,
discussion
hold on,
now.
hold on.
No, you should have said, Bent, you're actually ruining my discussion now. You could have been a
No,
positive
you were
voice.
ruining the discussion, dork.
You could have been a positive
You
voice.
were ruining
So
the
going
discussion.
forward, maybe next time when you see those type of elements happening, guys, we're 4 versus 1ing him. You're interrupting him after I just spoke for 3.5 minutes. You
I was
should
trying
start
to
to bring up some of
advise
those
you to
reasons.
not ruin your
You
own
should
discussion.
start bringing up some of those
Should take my
reasons.
advice.
You're not above modding, Shamos. You need to get off your own deck. Seriously.
Right? When you start going on the meta, you're not talking about the topic. I was just informing you about that.
Why is Andricus allowed to speak about meta? So they
It's
can speak about
irrelevant.
meta. Yeah. Oh,
Don't
no,
it's
it's not
irrelevant, dude. Don't
because
you
what
want to talk
happens
about the
is
topic?
No, I'll explain to you why it's relevant. If it's the case that Andricus can speak about meta, but I can't, this is what happens. The perimeter.
I'm not saying what you can or cannot do, dork.
The perimeter.
I'm not saying
of
what you can or cannot do, dork. So why are you even talking about what you can do? You have the right
so what
to do
I'm
this.
saying is I
Irrelevant.
should have been able to speak about meta without you interrupting me.
I'm not talking about what you should be able to do, dork.
You interrupted me because you said I was speaking about meta, and I'm saying that regardless, you shouldn't have interrupted me because Andricus was allowed to speak uninterrupted about meta. And what happens is if you
That's
create a standard in
irrelevant.
which
I'm not talking about whether or not you
relevant-
should or should not have been
what I'm
interrupted, or you should have
it's relevant to
should
what
not
I'm
have done
saying
it.
here now. If you create an environment which I can only speak about a certain topic and you can speak about everything else, that allows people to throw stones at me and I can never answer them
I want to
because
see
if
you.
I do, I
I
moderate.
want to see you have stones thrown at you, dog.
What that does is it creates an environment where literally
Where
you can
Shamos
attack me
gets
from all these.
stoned, and that's a desirable environment.
You're just still talking over me again and again.
Yeah,
and
I'm
again for whatever
informing you
reason.
that you
How about
getting
this?
stoned is desirable.
You just
And
keep going on and on, though, Shamos. I mean,
With me and you, I'll let you speak, Bit, all the way through because I think maybe I've been.
I don't need to monologue like you. I can say concisely. You getting stoned is desirable.
But you say it concisely during when I'm speaking. Go ahead and say it concisely now without me speaking. I'm sorry.
You getting stoned is desirable.
Shamos,
Oh, you're saying creating a disproportionate debate environment where I'm at an.
No, I'm saying an environment when you get stoned is desirable, dork.
Okay, I just want to address something. Shamos, all that happened when I stepped in is you had achieved your goal of getting Fia emotional when you culminated your argument and shouting out there that she was that she was inferior. And all I was saying to you was when she started interjecting over your next portion of your conversation that you should not be surprised when she acts emotionally and she's emotional and you are getting mad at her because she was emotional after you had achieved your goal. And all I was saying, if you do not want that to happen, then you should not prod her emotionally. That's all I said. And when you shouted over me and wouldn't allow me to say that, I muted you so I could finish in it. And when I muted you, you left before you gave me a chance to unmute you when I was done.
I'm not going to have people 3 versus 1 me and then mod me when I'm being abused and then expect me to sit there and let you guys just do that. That'd be ridiculous. So what you did do is you interjected yourself into a conversation where you didn't need to interject yourself. Okay. And what you had done is that your timing was horrible because your timing was after I had let Spia speak for 3.5 minutes uninterrupted. And then you decided that it was best to speak about our respect issues. And then here's another thing. You just started your statement poisoning the well. This is what poisoning the well is. Your goal was to piss Fia off. And so what you're automatically stating, I can't even dispute that. You've already asserted that that's what my intentions were. That's you trying to poison the well, okay? And so that's not what I was trying to do. That's not the goal I was quote unquote trying to achieve. That's you trying to poison the well and be an asshole and use dishonest debate tactics. You should Google poisoning the well. It's not a very virtuous debate tactic. Okay?
Is there another
and so what had happened? What had happened was this. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is there
What's that?
another intention behind shouting you are inferior at somebody? Is there another intention?
Look, after I had proved the fact that she was inferior, reiterating the point that she was inferior, which is actually a good thing to do in debate tactics. You lay down the reasons, and then you reiterate. Okay. Now, if I reiterated in a slightly louder or triumphant voice than usual, and you think that a good thing to do is interject yourself, a non-participant of the discussion, stall the discussion, mute me, bring up meta, okay, after 3.5 minutes of which I let her talk, you think that's a good idea? You think that was the right thing to do? I don't think that anyone agrees with you. Fia didn't think that was the right thing to do. Jovan said he didn't think that was the right thing to do, but your little dumbass somehow did. Why? Why is that? Because you don't understand how things work around you.
Well, I didn't necessarily say
Hold on. Is
In
there
this debate, which wasn't really a debate because it was held in an open discussion room.
Correct. Is there another intent? What other intent is there behind shouting at a woman in the room? You are inferior. What's the other?
Now he's appealing to motivation. This is just further debate tactics that just no. So you appeal to motivation, poison the well, appeal to my motivations, poison the well. What do you know how to honestly debate? And that's the worst thing about it. Some of these people, some of these people unintentionally don't even have the proper tools to debate honestly. That's the worst part about it. He's not even to blame. He's not even he's not even blameworthy for this. It's not even his fault. He doesn't even have the tools to engage honestly. I used to be that way. I used to be that way. Did you know that most people's idea of what constitutes debates and inferences are usually fallacious? In fact, when I first came around, I used to understand the stupid shit I was saying. I was poisoning the well. I was being dishonest. Fallacies were coming out left and right. And I was not equipped. I did not have the equipment to honestly debate.
It's just not about debate.
Didn't even have the tools. So I was incapable. I was incapable of honestly debating back then, and that's precisely where you are at this moment.
But it's just not. But it's just not
coming in and poisoning the well. You're incapable of coming in and creating these fallacies. You just can't not do it.
Dishonest tactic.
But it's just not about debate. The point is that people's motivations for a moderator or investigating that, right, whether or not they're gonna let someone speak, are actually important to what's being talked about. So, I mean, if it's reasonable to infer that your motivations were malicious, if that's something that moderators ought to act against, then I see it as like
no, but that doesn't have anything
poignant,
to do with
right?
issues.
Can I please say
we were
something?
talking about mental instability, what it means, what constitutes
no one is
genetic
saying that.
inferiority.
No, I'm not saying that either.
What I'm saying is you're bringing up something irrelevant. You're saying in the context of speaking about the nature of the meta debate and structures and how people ought to be treated, that's appropriate. Motivations are appropriate to bring up in that context. It's not what I'm speaking of. You're changing the subject. What I'm saying is we were having a conversation about what it means for someone to be genetically inferior. And bringing up the conversation and bringing up that type of meta in that context and appealing to my motivations, in fact, has nothing to do with this issue that we're speaking about conceptually. This is what it means to be genetically inferior. This is Fia's condition. Do they overlap? Is she in that Venn diagram? Now that's completely distinct. So you just brought up something completely fucking irrelevant, yo.
Okay, so I think that we are all in agreement that nobody wants to hear this anymore, and everybody who needed to apologize has apologized, and anybody who disagrees with you can just handle it on their own. Nobody like this has been talked about way too much, I think, and this is just going in circles.
Yeah,
so I think it's best that we
how we could have avoided this whole thing?
I know.
For Andricus not to have muted me, for you to not have interrupted me, and for Ben to not have interrupted me. Guess where? Think about all that we could have accomplished from then until now. Think about all we could have accomplished from then until now.
It's my fault for interrupting you in the first place. I should have let you speak. It's not Andricus's fault. It's my fault. I should have let you speak. I admit to the fault. I should have just let you speak the lies you were lying about and just noted it and moved on until I could have spoke. It's my fault. I get it. Let everybody else go with it. Nobody wants to hear this anymore. It's going in circles. We get it. Okay? Nobody let you speak. We get it. Like that it's done. It's going in circles. It's going in circles. It's done.
I have a pen and a notepad. One of those cheap little ones, cheap little pads that you can buy from the store for real cheap.
Yes. Next time I will use one.
You want to know what I do? Is when she's and when you
yes,
say something.
Okay. Yes. Next time I will use a pad. Holy shit! It's going in circles.
You want to know why? You want to know why? If you don't do that, what happens? People start.
Shamos starts
raging. I apologized over it. I said I would write notes about it, and
what is a lie?
And I gave you the reason.
Anytime they choose.
Shamos, just get over it.
You interrupt Shamos, he starts
Get over it.
raging.
Let me say this. If Shamos keeps going, I'm going to go ham on him.
Yes.
I'd like to say that I don't think is it permitted to have a moderator block?
It's not as far as
of course.
is
Yes.
So why is he like? I get what he's doing.
Yes.
So
Incredibly.
anyway, Thomas, I was trying to get around something, and that means that Shamos needs to unblock me because I'm a mod.
No, you can block mods.
Oh, can you? All right.
Of
Then I'll
course.
just stay blocked.
And so I understand why he got muted, right?
Whoa.
You can't block me, but you can block any other mod.
Is Shamos muted?
Yeah.
I get why, because he's being an incredible asshole right now. But is that a good reason to block?
Shamos, you should unblock Snooks though.
I don't think I deserve it. I apologized. I see where I went wrong.
Yeah,
He's the most mod here.
Okay, so
I'm not the greatest mod. I never claimed to be a perfect moderator. I should have established my terms better. I should have anticipated.
Guys, knock it off. There's nothing wrong with your moderation.
Nope, nothing.
The hell are you talking about,
Tom, how
Elena?
are you
Shamos
doing?
is explaining to them what's wrong with their moderation.
I just think Shamos should be muted, even if he's being an asshole.
Okay, so are we done going in circles?
Yes.
Yeah, we should probably just change the
Okay,
topic
great.
to-
We're going in circles. Here, I'm going to post this picture. You should look at this. This is something all of you should do. I'm just saying that it doesn't cost much money. I don't even have a lot of money, but I have enough money that I can do this.
But what if you can't write?
And it's
That's a good point.
I'm so poor that I can't afford a paper and pen. Can you please send me one, Shamos?
telling you, I have it sitting right beside. Don't patronize me. Look, I got it sitting.
You
right
will
beside
have to send it through a
You wanna know
pigeon
why? You wanna
because
know why
I
I do
can't
it?
afford
This
the
is
public
something
postal
that's
system
you
either.
guys.
Oh, it's back on.
This is something that benefits you guys. You guys reap the benefits of me practicing like this. Because then I don't interrupt you. Then I can try to remember all the shit that you shotgun at me. And so a lot of times when you shotgun shit at me, I don't even complain about it. I just have it all written down. And I just go for it. It's only
Hey,
when like 5
Shamos.
people do it.
Hey, Shamos, do you think Jack is really good at debate tactics, or do you think there's a lot of substance to what Jack says?
Jack does a lot of dishonest debate tactics.
Hmm. But do you think
Like,
there's substance to what he says most of the time?
Yeah, most of the time.
Yeah. What about Justin?
Justin's one of the best debaters I've ever heard.
Do you think there are some people in this community who only just use tactics and there's no substance to what they say?
Yeah.
Care
There
to
are
name
people that
names?
John, Gus,
People that
Molly.
are respected when they debate. So not John, that wouldn't work.
Sophists aren't respected for debating.
Got that nailed down. Next topic.
You guys know why
What day
Shamos.
is it?
You guys know why Shamos is pissed, right? Because Shamos is always talking about how females are able to acquire males above their station. Right? 5s are getting 6s and 7s and 8s, and they become accustomed to it, and they think that they're not actually a 5, right? That they're getting an 8, right? A guy who's an 8 will one night stand her or fuck her or whatever. So she says, I'm an 8. I'm effectively an 8. They don't even realize that they're a 5, right? First of all, that's incredibly annoying for Shamos. He hates that. It's kind of like old desirable cars, like a 1970 whatever Dodge Challenger, right? And the guy who owns it, the old guy who's got it in his front yard, you know, everybody knows that it's a Dodge Challenger, and he knows that it's desirable, right? It's just an old fucking beat up, no longer running car though. But it doesn't matter though. The guy still wants like fucking 10 grand for it when it's just worth 3 or something, right? So Shamos goes along and says like, well, I'm gonna get a fucking Dodge Challenger, right? I'm just gonna have to lower my standards a little bit. Maybe I can find one in a little worse shape. So he finds one with higher mileage. He finds one that's on cinder blocks, right? He finds one with all the panels all rusted out. It doesn't run. It's a complete fucking wreck, you know, but it's a Dodge Challenger. So Shamos says to himself, okay, finally. Now this one I'm for sure, like I can afford this one. The guy, it's probably worth a few $100s, right? It's mostly scrap. But the guy wants to charge Shamos like $5,000 for it, $3,000 for it. And Shamos is pulling his hair out. He's saying like, God damn it. Like, what the fuck do I have to do? Like, how far gone do these things have to be for me to get them? Right. And the challenger is the woman. And he's saying, look, this girl has, medical problems. She had a brain surgery. To like, what the fuck do I have to do to get these women, right? How far gone do they have to be? I mean, she should be begging me, so I let her lick my balls, right? I mean, like, these are like, I'm trying to pick these girls up discount, but no matter what happens, I'm like, what do they have to have? Like double amputees? Like she's a 5 with with both her legs missing, is still like pulling like 6s and 7. Like, what do I have to do? It makes him go insane. It really does.
I mean, that was literally expert level sophistry. Like, that right there no one can really do that. No one possesses that type of ability except for like Jovan and Tom, okay? But I mean, first of all, it's actually, I see the analog. The analog is that, like, I have to trash Fia down so bad so I can lower the price so I might be able to get it.
No, that would be negging, and that's not what I described. What I described is a frustration at the mindset and the ability for them to still demand the price despite like flaws or what you perceive to be flaws.
Like, I think I can accept that, right? But here's what it would really be like, right? It would really be like this guy that's already owned all these excellently restored exemplar models. It's that I've parted ways with them. I traded them off, sold them off, whatever. No longer have them, but I rode them hard when I did. You know what I mean? I put the pedal to the metal on those cars when I did. And now I'm coming around and I'm looking at these other cars, trying to get the garage back up or whatever. And what's going on is I'm actually not really giving a shit too much about these cars at all. In fact, I'm kind of just running around trashing everybody's car just because, like, I know what good cars really are and stuff like that. So I'm not really interested in buying. I'm just kind of like trashing people and trying to talk them down, and with no real interest in buying just because that's what I do. That's probably more analogous to what's going on here.
So are we
I
all
think
happy
you were
now?
quite spot on your thing, Tom. Spot on.
Yeah, I was 18.
Thank you for that, Tom.
I was 18 once. I went to college before. Don't you?
Tom is great.
Tom, you need to upload more things to your YouTube channel, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
Keep checking your YouTube channel, hoping for something new, and nothing.
Just the live streams.
I never get around to catching a live stream, and I fucking hate watching live streams when they're not live.
Yeah, there's something about watching it live that's very appealing.
Well, it's partially the fact that I can actually participate in the chat, and it's partially the fact I'm actually watching as it happens. It's like, I hate watching sports events when I'm not watching them live as well. With the odd exception of the UFC, I'll watch any UFC fight on any given day.
Do you say USC or UFC?
UFC. Excuse the accent.
No, my bad. I'm just something awful.
So we're all good now?
I have no idea.
At least you can try to fake it, geese.
Well, I'm back to playing Classic WoW, and my boyfriend broke up with me, so...
Okay, yeah, never mind.
Well, it could always be worse. You could have got banned from Classic WoW and your boyfriend could have broken. Bright side.
You really are not helping.
I'm trying.
Yeah, you're doing a shit job. No, but I'm sure it will be okay.
Hmm. Shamos, you should unblock Snooks though. Shamos?
I think he died from a heart attack.
He's still in here. He's muted.
It wouldn't be a heart. It wouldn't be a heart attack. It'd be an aneurysm.
Look, don't get my hopes up.
I've heard those are painful.
I don't know. I've heard they're pretty quick. They're like strokes. You don't really feel anything. You just pass out.
You'll smell like something is burning.
My stepdad died from one of those aneurysm.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
You had what, Landon?
Brain aneurysm.
I'm sorry to hear.
It's all, I didn't mean to bring it up. I was just y'all was talking about aneurysms.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, we're onto the lighter topics now.
yeah. Sorry about that. I was just bringing up an example.
Yeah, we're not gonna shout at you that you're inferior. So.
Yeah, you came in a little late for that, bud.
Yeah, Shamos can kiss my ass with all that.
Ooh, let's not start up. Let's not start up.
You sometimes get a headache.
You know, Fia.
The aneurysm is, but normally no. They don't.
Yeah, we're in the cool down
You can
period.
get weird other symptoms. Sometimes people lose their taste. We can't taste anything. Smell and things like that.
Yeah. So basically, aneurysm is like a mini stroke, right?
My stepdad went out in pain. He was screaming and yelling, and then he was dead the next morning.
Yeah, Molly, what's the difference between a stroke and an aneurysm?